Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event.
Okay. Hey, everybody. We are getting started. I am so excited for this webinar. I'm so excited to be partnering with Earmark. Really, I think like a lot of you, my love for Earmark started with the accounting podcast and listening to, David and Blake talk about all the headlines and news and kind of seeing what they've built and grown. It's exciting to be kind of partnering with them and doing this webinar. So, um, having said that, if you haven't already, go into the comments and please share where you are from, and then also share what kind of accounting practice you do, whether you're doing tax or bookkeeping. That kind of will help me tailor the content to more of your busy season. This is marketing during your busy season, and while we are approaching tax busy season, I really want this to apply to those of you who don't do taxes. So if you just do bookkeeping, you're finishing up year end, or if you're in advisory services for a particular industry and they have a busy season, really what I want to make sure is that this is really useful to you and that you leave with some tips that maybe you haven't heard before. So we are going to go ahead and get started. A quick introduction. If you don't already know, my name is Kristen Corey, and I am the owner of Media Books, the only place on the internet where creative accounting isn't a bad thing. Now, my background is actually in accounting. I did public accounting for a while there. I did a tax internship, which was enough to let me know that I don't want to do taxes. I have my master's in accounting, and I even took the CPA exam a few times. But really, after doing the accounting thing for a while, I had the opportunity to move abroad. At the time, remote working wasn't a very popular thing. And when living abroad, I decided to try online marketing. It was really the only industry that was very welcoming to remote workers. I got some experience. When I moved back to the States, I tried to get back into accounting, but the firms that I was talking with really were just like, it's great. Can you do some of our bookkeeping, but will you also do our marketing? And it was clear there was a need for this. So that is where I come in, and that's where Media Books comes in. We are the sort of intersection of marketing and accounting. And a lot of what I try to do is take those complex marketing topics and break them down so that they're easily digestible for solopreneurs and small accounting firms, so you guys can grow and get your name out there and deserve and tell your story. So having said that, marketing during a busy season. Whenever this subject comes up, these are common strategies that we hear. We hear outsource, just outsource your marketing. And people kind of leave it at that. And it's not to say it's a bad strategy, of course. But we want more guidance than just go ahead and outsource, find someone on Upwork, and then you're good. Paid advertisement. Again, paid advertisement can be a great strategy, but it doesn't always work great if you don't have a great foundation for your marketing. If you're just putting out ads, you still want to have a little bit of strategy behind it. And same thing with templates. There are tons of different ways that you can use templates when it comes to your marketing content. But again, we want to make sure that we're incorporating other strategies, and we want to find something a little bit new and different for those of us that are in such a busy time. We don't have time to tailor templates or set it up or do all the whole organization that comes with those sort of things. So common strategies, but what else is out there? I want to talk specifically about strategies that are great for when you are in a busy season, tax season, end of year, holidays, October, tax busy season, whatever busy season you're in. Maybe you just had a baby, maybe a personal busy season. I want to talk about those. I'm also going to be talking about year-round revenue because a lot of times when we are feeling pushed to do marketing during these busy seasons, it's because we're trying to hit a goal, whether that's more clients, whether we want better clients, whether we want just more revenue. That's what I'm going to talk about here. It's kind of the overarching. This is how these marketing strategies can help you generate more revenue. And then third, more efficient processes, not cutting corners. What I find frustrating so much about, hey, I'm busy, I don't have time for marketing. It seems like there's these cutting corners strategies where people just say, oh, go copy someone else. I want to give you something that's a little bit more useful and gives you a unique brand, a unique business, tells your story well, without the cutting corners. So strategies that I'm going to be talking about. First, boosting referrals. Second, upselling current clients. Third, AI and content batching. And then we're going to end this with a sample workflow. So the first one is referrals. It doesn't matter whether you are in a Facebook group or you're, in a conference, whoever you talk to within the accounting industry, when you say, how do you get clients? I am 99.9% sure they are going to tell you referrals. Referrals is a great way to get clients, but how do we optimize that? How do we boost that? And how do we just encourage this sort of referral focused marketing strategy? First thing, just ask your clients. I know it seems a little obvious, but here's the thing. It's okay to ask for referrals. It doesn't mean that you're desperate for clients. It doesn't mean that you're being pushy or being too salesy. It's okay to go to your clients and say, hey, I'm looking to take on a few clients this year. I'd like to fill out my roster by the end of January. I love working with you. Do you have any clients or anyone in mind that you think would be a great fit for me? And you can leave it at that. Great way to kind of just get it on other people's minds that, hey, my accountant is looking for some clients. Second thing you can do is to create an affiliate program. Now, I'm sure you're aware with the concept of an affiliate program. Someone brings you a client, they give you money. You can do this for your accounting firm. And there are many different ways that you can do this. You can do a very simple route like a DIY. So you can just say, hey, whether it's your current clients or partners that you have in your accounting firm, let's say you partner with a lawyer and you guys serve a similar niche. What you could say is, hey, for every client you bring me, I'll give you, let's say 10% of the first month of services. And that's the program. You really don't need much to set this up. All you need to do is talk to a lawyer, go to a contract template website. There's tons. Rocket Lawyer is great. Have an agreement written up, figure out what sort of payment terms you want to establish with this program, figure out a payment schedule, and then advertise it to people that you think would be really great affiliates. And if you're wondering, well, how do I track those affiliates? Again, this is DIY. So we're going to do it really sort of casual, if you will. You can just tell them, hey, CC me in an email with someone that you think would be great. Or if you send someone my way, tell me their name. If they become a client, I'll let you know. A lot of this is based on, trust, but ideally these are your partners. And so you guys have a good relationship. And so that hopefully shouldn't be an issue. The second thing you can do when building an affiliate program is actually just use an app. There are some great apps out there that'll actually set up a whole affiliate program for you. Rewardful, First Promoter, and Partner Stack. Those are three really popular ones. Partner Stack is it's the premium of the three options. Rewardful and First Promoter are probably better if you're just getting started with an affiliate program, but they're fairly inexpensive. Sign up, build an affiliate program, and then your affiliates can share links and you can have that all be tracked. The third thing you want to consider with referrals is you want to audit your online presence. Now, whenever someone refers your business, you do not necessarily, unless you provide them a specific link, you do not know how they are going to share your information. Is it going to be over email? Are they going to share your website? Are they going to tag you, share you on social media? So you want to make sure that all of these most common outlets are optimized. So for your email, you want to make sure you have a professional email address. So that means it doesn't end in @gmail.com. It preferably ends in @ and then the name of your business. You also want to make sure you have a professional email signature. So there are tons of different apps online where you can create a email signature. My favorite is HubSpot email signature generator. If you just type in HubSpot email signature generator, you can create a free one and you can customize everything. You can customize all the colors. You can add your logo, your photos, links, and there's no watermark. It is fantastic. There's no reason not to have a professional looking email signature. The second thing you want to do is make sure your website is optimized. So your buttons and links work. You have clear call to actions. That means when people come to your website and they want to schedule a consultation, make sure they can. Make sure that it is very clear what the next step is. Make sure your services are clear. When it comes to your services on your website, people are hiring you because they don't necessarily like accounting. It's probably safe to assume. They don't want to spend the time learning it. They don't want to figure out, what is an advisory services and what are all the things. Make sure it's very clear and simple and easy for people to go through. And also be sure on your website, give people a chance to get to know you, especially if you offer virtual services. If you offer virtual services, people are not really having the opportunity to see your face, learn your name, ask how your kids are. So when you're offering virtual services or you offer, nationwide, make sure you have your photo and your name at a very minimum. That's when it comes to optimizing your website. But I do want to go back to that first bullet point. Make sure your buttons and links work. In October, I had a new client come to me with their website. They already had their website built and they said, "Hey, I just started this firm. Here's my website. Can you kind of look it over and make sure it's optimized?" Their website was new, maybe kind of a couple weeks, couple months old, and I ran it through a website called Dr. Link Check. Dr. Link Check. Yes. I'm trying to make sure that's what it's called. Dr. Link Check. Their website had over 650 links, which I realize may sound like there's no way a new website has that many links, but they add up quicker than you think. I ran their website through this check. 23 of the links were broken. Now, it wasn't the schedule a consultation button, but there were buttons on their website that were broken. And so there are tools that you can use online where you don't have to go through your website and click every single little button. You can put your website into this platform. It'll check your entire website. It'll check to see if any of the links are broken. It'll tell you what links on what pages so you can go in and then fix them. Really simple way to make sure that there's no friction when people land on your website. The third area, social media apps. So let's say you offer advisory services, CPA, you're a CPA firm, and you have to call your firm by your last name. Your last name also happens to be Johnson, which is, I think, the most common name in the US or something. Johnson Accounting Services. Do you know how many Johnson Accounting Services there are online? There is a lot. And so when you have this website and you want to build a social media channel and people are trying to find you and they're going from your social media to your website, they're trying to get to know you, maybe want to follow you online, but they're running into 15 other Johnson Accounting Services. It's very difficult to make sure who is the right one if you do not have consistent branding. That means same colors, same fonts. The photography is very similar. There should be a similar feel when you're going from social media apps to websites. Now, you may say, well, I don't have that issue. My business name is unique. I'm sure it is, but still, it is very helpful when people are trying to find you from one app to another. Second thing, when it comes to social media apps, make sure you receive notifications when you are contacted. Excuse me, I'm in the driest place on the planet. So you want to make sure that you are receiving notifications when you're contacted on these social media apps. So for example, let's say you have a LinkedIn profile. You haven't touched it in months, but someone contacts you through LinkedIn. If you at least have your email notifications set up so that when someone does contact you, you will get that notification as opposed to that notification being turned off. Just make sure it's on. Okay. This is a great time to ask, do you guys have any questions? Yeah, please. You can just drop them in the chat. Be happy to answer them, especially about the section that we just finished up, referrals. Okay, upselling clients. Like I said at the beginning of this presentation, what is your goal with marketing? It may be to get more clients. It may be to increase your revenue. It may be to get better clients. But I'm going to go into this assuming You probably like a lot of the clients that you're working with. So, what is your goal with the marketing? There's there's a few things that you're probably thinking about right now. Okay, so I want to upsell my clients. They're already an advisory service level. I've already sold them like all my services. What else can I sell them? Well, here's a few examples. If you do tax returns, you can upsell them tax planning. If you sell them cleanups, you can do bookkeeping, fractional CFO services, advisory services, and you can sell partnerships. This is the last thing you want to happen when you're doing a webinar. So you have all these different ways that you can be upselling your clients. So what are ways that you can sort of drip in that you have these upsell offerings? In marketing, we have something called the rule of 7. And this is the principle that suggests a prospect needs to hear or see a marketing message at least 7 times before they take action. Think about different ads that you see. Think about different businesses or people that you follow online. You probably didn't buy something. It's a guess. You probably didn't buy something before you engaged with them in a worthwhile way. Maybe you were on their email list before you bought from them. Maybe you followed them on social media. You need to see a message multiple times before you really trust the person enough to hand over your money for their services. So, when we are upselling clients, how can we drip in that we have these upsell offerings before kind of like seeing them walk out the door? So, for example, you have a tax preparation that you're doing for a client. When can we talk about our tax planning services? Well, you can talk about it at the start of services. It's January. You're meeting with a client. Hey, I'm preparing your taxes for this season. Did you have anyone do your tax planning, or have you ever thought about tax planning? I just want to know kind of where you're at in this process. Do it at the start of services. You could do it at the end of services. Hey, we just prepared your tax return. While preparing your 2024 tax return, I saw a few opportunities where we could potentially help you save more money next year. Would you be interested in our tax planning services? Major milestones in your services. So you're doing your tax preparation. Hey, I noticed you, I don't know, you moved. Did you buy a house or did you rent a house? Oh, you bought a house. Well, have you considered this? But I know these big major lifestyle changes. If you engage in our tax planning services, this is something that can benefit you in the future. Figure out a way to kind of pivot during these pivotal moments in a project to a service that you want to upsell. Now, there's also different points that you can bring up these services. So, onboarding and offboarding packets. If you have an onboarding process, let's say you always send them an email, you always give them a packet of information, be sure to include other services that you offer. Canned emails, Taxdome. Taxdome, I know so many of you use Taxdome. They have canned emails. And in those emails, whenever you send out, hey, here's your tax return, you can also include a section that says, hey, if you want to learn more about additional services. And there's a way to do it without making it salesy. You can really do it as saying, hey, like I just said, I found a few points in your previous return where we can help you. You may want to consider this. And then lastly, calls and communications with clients. If you're in a call or communicating with a client, it's a great way to kind of drip in, hey, I also offer these additional services. Now, this is when you're working and you're doing some sort of marketing services. Just because someone is your client does not mean that the marketing has ended. Marketing is really about building those relationships and kind of reaching, your next revenue goal. So these are 3 different points that you can either prepare ahead of time. I know we're already like approaching tax season, so your ahead of time has already passed, but something to consider for the future that you can prepare ahead of time or do easily while you're in the middle of a busy season, calls and communications. Next thing I want to talk about is AI and content batching. So when should you use AI? Studies have shown human written content performs better than AI. And there's almost a race between AI improving and people deciphering AI written content. So there's a few tells. And after you kind of consume enough content on social media, there's a few tells you think, okay, you probably used ChatGPT for that. Maybe someone's writing you a follow-up email and it's way too long. You probably use ChatGPT. You could have just said, "Hey, I'm checking back in." Or, maybe they had those, what is it, the two asterisks, the Shift 8 key, to bold a text. There's some tells that it's AI written content. And so aside from that, when we're kind of reading and like looking through this content, people are getting better at deciphering whether it was AI written, and we're seeing that that content doesn't perform well. This is not to say that you should never use AI content. There's actually going to be definitely times where you should, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute. But understanding that really your human touch, your human input is what helps content perform well. So AI is great when you are batching content. AI doesn't just mean written content. There's plenty of AI tools that help you get tasks done quicker, and more efficiently, aside from just writing. And then also optimizing content. So when AI first came out, everyone was so excited because they're like, I can click a button and it'll write 5 blog posts for me, which is great, but everyone else can do it now. So it's really not helping you stand out. It's not helping you compete. Sure, go ahead and use AI to write the blog post if you're really that short on time, but then optimize it. Figure out, okay, what can I do to take this a step further and making this blog post even more helpful for people? We do have a question that I want to talk about because it's about something we brought up earlier. The rule of 7. How do we get 7 touch points without overwhelming a client? How often should we make them? That's a great question, Ray. So here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be counting me like, okay, I need to make sure I'm contacting this client 7 times and write it all out. Really, the idea here is we want to make sure we are frequently making that information available. So if you think of an offboarding and an onboarding process, packet, email, portal, have that information just as part of the content that you're reading over. It may seem like as you're adding all these points, it's going to be overwhelming, but really what you're doing is giving them what you're really doing is just reminding them and making sure they see it. So for example, marketing for this webinar. I felt like this is all I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. I felt like people have to be so annoyed with me that surely no one is going to show up because I have been talking about this nonstop. But on your end, you probably saw maybe a reel or a couple posts. Maybe you saw an email. You probably did not see every single effort I put out there. Similarly, your clients, they're probably going to scan the onboarding and offboarding packet. The email notification, they very well may scan it, but once or twice, maybe they actually will read it. And so really the idea here is when they're thinking, okay, my tax preparer just finished preparing my tax return. Um, I spend a lot of money. How do I make less money? Is that how I pay less tax? Wait, didn't they say something about tax planning services? Yeah, they said something about tax planning services in a previous email. What did that email say? Oh, go back, check their email. Oh, okay. So if I do tax planning services, they think that they can help me save more money next year because of how I bought my house or something. It's really the idea here is that we want to be top of mind. If you mention it once or twice, it's likely that they'll read over it and they're not going to see it. When that does come up later on, when that pain point does come up later on, we want to make sure that we've at least appeared, shown ourselves as being available so that when that issue does come up, they think of us. There's a similar It's unfortunate because we're in January, but a great time for tax accountants to start marketing is in October because you have this time where you can build a relationship. And then also come January, when everyone's likely looking for a tax preparer, that's when they're going to think of you. So we're not necessarily looking, okay, I'm going to talk to this person and bring it up 7 times. And on number 7, they're going to reach out. It's making that information available. Not sending a separate whole, like, specific email talking about the service. It's making the information available and part of the entire conversation. If you're having a meeting with them and you say, and we also offer these tax planning services. If you're interested in that, they may say, no, I'm not interested in that. And be like, okay, totally fine. It's still going to be part of your process, and they're going to see it's part of the templated onboarding and offboarding emails, and that's fine. But they may say, oh, not right now. And then in a couple months, they'd be like, wait, I had a conversation with Ray. Maybe I'm going to be interested in tax planning. So really the idea here is just to integrate it naturally into these different points that you have with the relationship with that client. Um, and not we're not sending specific emails regarding these services to this client 7 times. We're integrating it naturally through different channels. Um, I hope that makes sense. How often would should I want to make sure I answer your next question. How often should you make them? Really, it's going to depend on how long the project is. If you have a tax preparation, don't try to hit the exact 7. Really, just try to look for those opportunities. That's maybe a better way to say it. Um, I would try to at least make sure you at least intentionally bring it up 2 to 3 times and let kind of your process take control of the rest. Onboarding, offboarding, and those canned emails. That should kind of help you hit that 7. Okay, AI and content batching. So one last thing. So we're talking about using AI when you're batching content and then when you're optimizing content. Like I said, with that blog post, you have that blog post written, go the extra mile because right now there's going to be a lot of people that are just using AI to write that blog post. So when it comes to how do we use AI and how do we specifically do that? You can use AI to turn a long form video into a short form. AI is not just about writing content, it's about actually like doing things quicker. It's like this third robotic arm that you have. It's about turning transcripts into blog content or YouTube descriptions. So if you have a whole transcript from a podcast episode, this is something that you can easily generate with AI into blog content. Now, it, it's not necessarily AI written, it's human input, but it's being turned into content via AI. So it's not AI written. So I want to make sure that that's kind of clear. Your human input is still being considered and valued in this situation. And then third, writing content specific for social media posts. One of the popular AI tools is Perplexity. This feature isn't perfect yet, but I'm hoping in the future it will be. They have this feature where it's called Spaces, and you can upload content to a space, and then you can ask it to write content based on that space. When would you use this? For example, 2025 tax deadlines. Um, AI right now isn't great at like future information, like current updates, things like that. But what you could do is upload content to that space saying, here's the 2025 tax deadlines. Write me a social media post based off this information and just this information. I don't like the feature quite yet, but that is something to kind of that's something that I'm keeping an eye on is spaces in Perplexity. Um, the idea that you can kind of generate AI written content with your own input and then generate a bunch of content from it. So, lastly, I want to end with a sample workflow. And really, the idea here is to show you how, with the limited time that you do have and working with someone, you can really generate a ton of content. So, for example, we have Andy, the firm owner, and Christy, the marketer. Sample workflow. So, the first thing that they're going to do is spend 20 minutes recording a podcast episode. Andy is going to pick a subject he can talk about with no prep. I am sure there are tons of things that you can talk about where I can just ask you questions and you can easily tell me about it. Christy's going to write a couple questions on the topic. Andy is going to go record the episode in one take. I have helped so many accountants produce their podcasts, and it takes forever to get an intro recorded because they say, "Oh, I record it, I listen to it, I don't like it, or I don't like I said a certain word." And you're going to record it in one take. You're not going to listen to it, and then you're going to send it off. Second thing is we are going to edit and break up the video. Christy, she's going to use AI to remove ums and pauses. Thank you. I'm sorry, I just got a compliment and I wanted to make sure. This is an interesting multi-phase presentation. Thank you, Joseph. Christy will use AI to remove ums and pauses. So again, AI is not just about writing content. It's about doing things better, optimizing it. All those awkward ums and pauses, Christy's going to remove in AI. Don't worry about the fact that you need to re-record it. She's going to add an intro and outro, and she's going to schedule the episode. Christy will also upload the video to an AI app that turns that one long form clip to 3 short form clips. AI can do that as well. There's a great app called Descript. It helps make it super easy, but because this is busy season, you're not going to do it. You're going to have someone else do it. Christy will then use AI to write the captions and schedule out the clips. Again, once you have that transcript from the video, you don't need AI to write anything else, which is going to bring me to my third point, where Christy's going to apply that transcript. She's going to use AI to generate a transcript of the episode. Because remember, AI written content does not perform well. Human written content performs best. So once you have that transcript, she's going to use AI to write 3 captions using the text from that transcript. I'm waiting on Perplexity and their space feature to get better, but you can still use it with Claude or ChatGPT. Take that whole transcript, upload it to Claude, ChatGPT, wherever. Say, I want you to write me a social media post using only the information above. Sometimes I've done this a few times, and sometimes you have to bully the app a little bit because they're gonna pull information from random sources. So be sure to read it through again, but say, hey, no, just the transcript, and it'll generate the social media post. Lastly, Christy will also use AI to turn the transcript into a blog post. Get rid of some of the awkward ums, pauses, add subheadings, different things like that. Fourth thing, you're going to schedule everything out. Christy is going to schedule everything out, not you because you're busy. Christy will use apps like Metricool, YouTube Studio, and her website blog builder to schedule out all the content in advance. Really, like with all my clients, we do our content out a month in advance. It's very rare we need to do anything like a day or a week before, unless it's like breaking news, which unfortunately the accounting industry has had a lot lately. Most of the time, your content can be scheduled out, especially when you're in a busy season, when the things like deadlines and timelines are predictable. You can schedule all that out. With this process, you have created 1 podcast episode, 1 YouTube video, 1 blog post, 3 short form videos for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and 3 social media posts for LinkedIn and Facebook, because you have to post an image or something on Instagram. So you've created all this content with just 20 minutes of your time, and you have outsourced the rest. And yes, we're talking about outsourcing, but really the idea here is if you do want to outsource your marketing content, you can't have someone easily do this and all this with just a few AI apps. Andy has spent, as I said, 20 minutes recording 1 podcast episode. AI was used to write the content based on your human input and took advantage of short form and long form video. Right now, that is the content that we're seeing do the best, those short form and long form videos. And so it's a great way to kind of get it out there and get it all done in one chunk. Okay, now having thrown all that information out to you, do you have any questions? Learning a lot here. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Do you have the same content on all platforms, or how do you decide what to post where? So here's the thing. Depending on who your audience is, I would make content for that platform and then post it to a few others that easily, and just see if it performs. For me personally, I write content for 2 platforms, for Instagram and then Facebook and LinkedIn. And then kind of I have a better example. I have a client that Instagram is her primary platform. It's where her audience hangs out. It's where she enjoys spending the most time. So we focus on writing content specifically for Instagram. And if you guys aren't familiar with what that means, if you consider all the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all of them, they all have a different sort of tone. They all have a different way of talking and speaking. And so whenever you write something for that specific platform, you want to make sure that you are meeting that tone, meeting that audience. So let's say like this client, we're writing content for specifically Instagram. I will still post the content to Facebook and LinkedIn. And if it doesn't perform well, it's okay. She's decided she wants to be on there. Okay. We'll just post it on there. Hope it goes well. But our focus is always Instagram. If, let's say, she's like, this content really isn't performing well on LinkedIn, I don't like the way it looks, what I would recommend doing is on LinkedIn, making sure her notification is set up. So if she does get contacted via LinkedIn, she will get that notification, and having sort of a pinned or stagnant notification, post. So for example, someone goes to her Facebook page. She hasn't posted any updated content in a while, but the first post that someone sees on Facebook is, hi, welcome to ABC advisory services. I really want to get the chance to know you better. Here are a few ways you can stay in contact with us with updated confirmation information. You can subscribe to my newsletter, you can follow me on Instagram, or you can send me a message directly here on Facebook. That way, when people go to that profile that maybe hasn't posted content in a while, they're not saying, oh, maybe that person's out of business. They're saying, oh, like they have a profile, they just aren't on here a lot. So they can now have multiple ways that they can stay in touch with you. So to answer your question, yes, if you want to save time, do post the same content on all platforms. I would just focus on which platform. I would just focus on writing the content based on which platform is your primary focus for your marketing strategy. And then how do you decide what to post where? I mean, really, that's going to get into who you are as an accounting firm and then who you want to serve. So, I mean, I'm trying to understand, how do you decide what to post where? I mean, are you thinking, oh, I posted this on LinkedIn, maybe it's not appropriate for Instagram? Should I not post it? I don't know if that's what your question is asking, because I would say go ahead and post it, see if it does well. Really, there's going to be different tones for all those platforms, but if you can kind of stay true to the tone of your brand, that should be something that carries over from one platform or to another. Amy said, I think my Instagram audience is slightly different from my LinkedIn audience. Yeah, it probably most definitely is. So all of these platforms kind of attract a different person, right? Instagram is really great if you work with creatives, artists, food trucks. It attracts like a number of different industries. LinkedIn is really great for professionals, white collars, things like that. And so they're likely very different. And you can still post about the same message, but you would want to tweak it just a little bit. And what you could do is with AI is writing, okay, here is my transcript from the podcast that I recorded. Write me a LinkedIn post based on the information in this transcript. It'll generate it. If it sounds too casual to you, you can say, hey, make it more professional. Or if it sounds too professional to you, say, hey, make it sound more like this. And what you can do is actually copy the text of a prior post that you felt did really well, copy it into ChatGPT, and say, hey, make it sound more casual or more in this tone. That's something that AI has actually been able to do fairly well, is if you copy and paste a prior post that you like the way it sounded, you can have it do that. But your audience is definitely they're very likely different. Even when I have people that follow me on Instagram and follow me on LinkedIn, I notice the kind of content and the kind of conversations that we have are also very different. And so it may feel like, I want to make sure I tailor my message, which is understandable, but it also is something that I would say is more advanced marketing, and not that you can't do it. It's more that it's going to take up more of your time. So doable, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, AI, honestly, AI is a fantastic tool in when you feel like what you're writing isn't quite perfect or quite there. If you want to use AI for something, start with your own idea, start with your own email, and then add it in and say, hey, can you make this sound nicer? Maybe even for like your current client, let's say someone hasn't paid you. You can put it into ChatGPT and just say, hey, can you make this sound more forceful or nicer or more professional? And it's great for that. Any other question? Oh, one other thing. There are so many AI apps. There's three really popular ones are ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. I prefer Claude the most when it comes to writing content. Sometimes I'll check out the other apps just for, see if I like what they write better. But Claude is my favorite for writing. Any other questions that you guys have? Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and call it. I do, of course, want to just do a quick wrap up and talk a little bit about media books and some of the services we offer. We offer custom website design, CMO services. These are essentially done for you services, but as you kind of saw with the process that I built out, The best sort of content is when someone in your firm is involved. People want to know who they are working with. And so we do done for you marketing services, but we really like to partner with you guys. We understand you're in a busy season, and I try to take all the work off your hands that I can, marketing wise, not tax wise. Lastly, we also do website audits. So if you already have a website and maybe a marketer that you're working with, but maybe you're like, I want to update my website a little bit, we do website audits where we'll run your website through SEMrush, Google PageSpeed Insights, and do a whole video review talking about how you can improve it a little bit better. And here are a few ways you guys can connect with us. We have our website, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and my Facebook. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you later online.
Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.